Welcome back to the fan cams. Sorry about that. I think there was an accidental end broadcast from us. So we're back though. I need to give you all a fresh link. So the link is in the comments now, and we'll kick this off again. We'll have to reset those who are in the waiting room. You'll have to come back through this link. Chris.
There you go, man.
Complete fucking shit show tonight, isn't it? On all fronts.
Mate, you know me when I come on. I try to be really positive because I like bring positivity in the world. But man, there was no positives tonight, man. That was weak, bro. That was just flat out weak. Not only did we allow Adelaide to do everything they wanted to do tactically, in terms of we purposely set up in a way that Adelaide could benefit from their halfbacks pushing forward. Like Jordan Dawson had the easiest game I've ever seen a human being of my life. Just acres of space behind the contest again and again. And all our players are on the other side of the contest. Why? We all know where it's going. Adelaide have set up players there. You saw it like I saw it like a good 10 times. There was 2 spare Adelaide players behind the ball. Every time they get the ball, straight out to them. And where was Carlton players? All on the other side, thinking, oh, we're on the defensive side of the ball. It's like, no, you're not, dude. The Adelaide players are over there. Like you're 10 metres away. It's too late. Because by the time they get the ball, it's 50 metres over your head. And it's easy marks and easy goals. It's like they don't change the tactics, like simple tactics, dude. Like I don't understand how you can be a professional footballer and not see there's 2 spare Adelaide players right there killing us all the time, and no one does anything about it all game. And then they just waltz out of D50 the same way every time, and it's like it's the same garbage. It's like there's no accountability in the players at all. It's like none of them are willing to take responsibility for actually changing. It's like, oh, we're just going to all wait around until something special happens. Like, oh, we'll wait till Charlie kicks a goal, and then we'll all get up and then it'll suddenly change. But it's like, it's just basic tactics that, like, for some reason, like, we can't just figure out in game. Like, we have to wait for Michael Voss to tell them what to do. It's like, they're professional footballers, man. Like, how on earth do you not see that and able to change it? Like, I can't comprehend it, Terry. I can't.
Not many of us can. Tonight has been a very weird night.
It's like, and the scary thing is, Terry, like, as everyone has said, like, it's the same problems. Like, it's not like they're new issues, like, being created because we're changing. It's the same stuff we've been complaining about since, like, 2018. The same stuff. Ball movement, lack of forward 50 pressure, transition defense. We lose the same way. Like, every time we lose, it's the same way. They just blitz us on the counter-attack from our turnovers, and we always look behind the ball because we're just set up so wrong. Like, sometimes they panic, and then they're like, oh, we have to get defensive. It's like you don't realize, like, by doing that, that's what they want you to do. It's like you're literally working against how you're going to win the game. Yeah. I just, like, you think they learn, Terry, too. Like, how it's the same stuff, dude. Like, it's been 5 years. 5 years of the same problems.
Make it 8, 9, maybe more with this group.
Yeah, it's like 8. At some point we got to call it out. Like, it's the same issues, and it's like it's like we try and, like, give them excuses and say, like, oh, it's injuries, or like we haven't got the proper players in, or because we're just so starved of it But like, let's be honest. Like, we know what the problems are, and they're not being fixed. They're just not. Like, Michael Voss has been here long enough. Like, I'm sorry. Like, the way we move the ball is atrocious. It is atrocious. Like, Charlie and Harry have no chance. It's amazing that Charlie kicked 2 goals. Amazing. Like, I feel horrible for Harry. Like, the way that ball's coming in, dude. Like, Taylor Walker, if Harry played for Adelaide tonight, he would have kicked 15. Like, honestly.
The way
And
the
like
ball is
the
coming in
way
their forward line, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's bad, man. It's really, really bad. Like we can say, like, even if we beat St Kilda next week, like, so what? Like, what does that prove? Because we all know we play a certain way, and then we're just gonna lose the same way in a month or 2 months down the track. It's like the problems aren't being fixed. The actual issues. It's like all these little things we're adding on, like, oh, we've got these good players now, and oh, look, the improvement, the development. It's like, yeah, that's great, but we're losing the same way every goddamn time, and I am sick to death of it, dude. I'm sick and tired of losing the same way. It's like watching someone fail the same test over and over and over again. It's like at some point you gotta like say this, enough is enough, dude.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's the 5th game of the year and we've lost our first game of the year. So
Yeah.
let's just see a response. It's very easy to call. I think it's very easy for us to make a call on what this means for the rest of the year because it's also raw, but it's the 5th game of 23.
Yeah. Well, Well, like, obviously, like, we could turn it around and actually improve on those things, and I'm hoping. But I'm just frustrated. Like, it's been how long, Terry, and it's the same way. Like, at some point, we got to stop doing the same mistakes that we keep doing. Like, at some point, the players have to take responsibility. Like, they're the ones kicking the ball, dude. They're the ones making the decisions, and they are atrocious decisions. And it's like we blame Teague and we blame Bolton. It's like, are they kicking the football? Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, like, these players have got to take it on themselves and say, no, we aren't just going to do the same old crap that we know we can't win with. They know they can't win like that.
Yeah, mate. It's a fair point. It's a fair point. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for letting me rant, Terry. Appreciate it.
All right, mate. See ya.
Take care.
Matt.
Terry.
All the way from Adelaide, mate.
Oh, such a build-up. And, I caught up with Rocco and, I obviously flew over here, such a big weekend. And, a team's going to lose, right? One of the teams is going to lose. But it's just the way we play. It was just really unexpected. Yeah, it's just really disappointing. I don't know how you saw it on the TV, but we just lacked that effort and that intensity that we've seen probably the last couple of weeks, which is really disappointing. And from my perspective, it seemed like we just let them get an easy ball, which made them look better. Look, they were flawless, but I think we made them look better. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we just didn't bring anywhere near the same mental application as what they did. It was so strange because we had our best midfield. That's our best midfield right there. And yeah, I know Kennedy's probably a little bit underdone.
That stood out to me being at the game. At the game, our forwards and our back line was solid. Our midfield was disgraceful.
Yeah.
At the ground. That's my perspective. Was like, where are they? What are they doing?
Yeah.
And I don't think I've seen that for a long time. Our midfield to be so non-present. It was, really disappointing. I didn't expect that at all. Yeah, we came back at one point and the crowd got up and about, but what can you do? I really hope next week for St Kilda that this has given us some hurt, and we do better next week because St Kilda are up and about, and doesn't matter who you're playing, but you got to be on your game. And I've got to erase this from my memory, and it hurts, but we've got to look forward. It's early in the season, so I've seen a lot of comments where people are getting a bit carried away with certain things, but look, you got to remain positive. Just don't worry about it. Look forward. We're a good team. We're a really good team, and let's just just forget about it. We're going to move on because that's
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, mate, good on you for making the trek down to Adelaide. I know the one and
I'll
only
show you
time.
one thing. Got this.
Sure. Make cuts. That's a fair point.
The jumper punch. You guys do an amazing job. The Blue Board channel. You guys are awesome. You're the best community ever. It makes our lives much better. So thank you for what you do, and thanks for letting me be a part of tonight. And go Blues. Thanks, Terry.
No worries, mate. Thank you. Beachy.
Oh boy, Terry.
Sorry about that,
boy.
mate. We just had a bit of a technical issue. We've lost. We had like 1,000 people watching. It's
Don't
devastating.
worry.
It's devastating.
That pretty much just capped off the night.
It literally capped off. It's actually spot on. It's very poetic.
It capped off the night. As I was saying, the wait for our first win at the Adelaide Oval in the AFL era continues. Currently, it sits at 53 years. The last win we had was against Sturt when it was the BFL versus the Sandford. The last win against Adelaide in Adelaide is 2010, and the last win in Adelaide in general was against Port Adelaide in 2013. Both games were at Amy Stadium before we left. That's how bad we've been going in Adelaide so far.
Yeah. We're just so well placed, it seemed. I know Doc was out, and I know McGovern was out as well. And I know that can shift a lot of the on-field setup, communication, leadership. They're both very senior players in the context of this team that played tonight. So I can understand that you're going to feel the impact, but at the same time, you get back Akers, senior player. You get back Walsh, one of, if not our best player, and he was probably our best player tonight. You get back Matt Kennedy, a guy that's a really important player between the arcs, even though he probably wasn't at 100%, didn't look at his best. But yeah, they did not gel together well tonight at all.
No, that's probably right, because Cripps was tagged out of it by Dawson, and I haven't seen him tagged out of it this badly. And I know Riley said he hasn't seen it since ever, but I can actually remember one that was worse than this. And it's actually quite poetic, as you said, because we get the side that did this to him the last time next week. And who was it that did it to him? Jack Steele. Jack Steele at St Kilda. He tagged him very hard. He wasn't able to get out of it until the point that David Teague said, right, we're putting you at half forward to try and get you to do something. And by that point, the damage was already done.
Yeah.
St Kilda had hurt us. St Kilda had hurt us not just in the middle, they'd hurt us on the scoreboard. And trust me, if it happens again like it did tonight, that 56-point thrashing that we copped tonight could very well be double. And that I'm not looking forward to, straight up.
Well, we're going to see what the group's made of now.
Well,
we've all sat through losses, many losses, and we've all spoken for years around how important that next week is, especially while the season's still alive. The season's not dead.
No,
it's not dead, but there's a big dent that was made into the experience tonight. So let's see what happens next week.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of dead, I think at various points throughout the evening, my temper died because of the murder of Crows at the Adelaide Oval that just ripped us apart from the first quarter. So it's going to take a while for it to resuscitate, but here we are now. We get ready for next week. And for the love of God, I hope we actually do respond, because after St Kilda, it's West Coast in Perth. And they could look at us thinking, here's something we can get. So we've got to turn this around and fast.
Good on you, Beachy. See you next week.
Good on you, Terry. Ta.
See you, mate. Josh.
Hey, mate. How are you?
Not good. How are you?
It was rough from pretty much the first bounce. We always knew Adelaide were going to take it to us, and that's exactly what they did straight away from the first bounce. It was just terrible. I felt like, you know what it was reminded me of? When Mark Murphy retired at the Adelaide Oval. Just that one quarter, just PTSD and everything, but just shit, just not good enough. And yeah, we've had our full complementary with the midfield and all that, and just didn't look that great. I don't want to be too reactive because I understand it's only one game, but I've got a few takeaways. So our best 23 to 30 just doesn't seem good enough. AFL is a brutal sport, right? There's always going to be injuries. So when the next man's ready to step up, they have to be able to do that job. And with Doherty out and McGovern out, it's just not good. Plowman was woeful, and our O'Brien has been woeful in the past. And I'm going to say this, and it's going to be controversial, but Jack Silvani has been terrible this season, and he's looking to me like a bottom 6 player at the moment. He's just, I don't even know what I'm watching from him. The ball delivery from him tonight and his kicking tonight was terrible, and it has been all season. And I reckon he might need to be dropped. He's one of the players I would be dropping. He's been terrible all year.
Who would you bring in?
That's
What's the solution?
Harry Lemmy, he's been doing all right. He's a tool. He's kicked 2 in the VFL. I mean, yes, it's early to bring in a young star, but look at Anthony Caminiti, 19. He's doing well at the Saints. Give him a run. Why not? At this stage, why not? Silvani needs to be better. He's 8 years into his career, and he can't be doing this anymore. Not good enough. But this loss isn't on Silvani. It's also on not only our bottom 6, but when our top 12, 16 players aren't lifting, well, they're not playing well, our bottom 6 aren't going to be playing well. So you look at your players like your Cripps, you can't put too much blame on Charlie and Harry. The ball delivery to them tonight was just terrible. And it has been all year. I mean, if we don't play North Melbourne, how many goals does Charlie have? Harry's got under 10, maybe under 12 if I'm lucky. I think it's been pretty terrible all year, so we definitely have to fix up our clearances. Where are our small forwards? I know Durden had a few tonight, but it's just usually one each game. They'll have a few, but the others are never to be seen. They're there putting on the pressure, but they're never in the right spot at the drop of the ball. I'm going to say this, and I know everyone's going to hate it. Last year, Jack Ginnivan, always at the right spot at the drop of a contest, getting cheap goals. Do you ever see our small forwards getting cheap goals like that?
Funnily enough, they probably got a couple tonight.
Yeah,
in the belting.
But yeah, it's pretty rare, isn't it? It just does. You never see it happen, and always in the highlight reels. Not ever with us, but yeah. And another thing I noticed. Boys just lost interest. Well, the game was 4 kicks out. We had 4 kicks out of the game at the fourth quarter on point. And Adelaide have kicked it into their forward 50. All right, and it's in the corner of the right corner of the inside 50 area. 3 of our players turn their backs. Don't turn your back on the fucking ball. Adelaide chip it even further. That's when I knew we lost interest. No interest. Watch the fucking ball. Why would you turn your back on the ball?
Yeah.
They're lining back to go inside 50. But, yeah, that's pretty much my takeaways from the game. Going into next week, obviously St Kilda play a very similar brand of football. So we've got to be careful. I do expect a response. I don't want to be, Voss isn't it. none of that. It's too early, right? I know it's early, reactive. I do expect a response, and I think we'll be much better next week under the roof in Marvel. But there again, like, when does it end? Like, these losses, just, it's not good enough anymore. And we're going to lose eventually. So I'm glad it sort of happened now. We sort of have deserved the loss over the last 4 weeks with the way we've played. But yeah, maybe they'll learn their lesson, and we just got to keep moving forward. It's a long season.
Thanks, Josh.
No worries. Thank you, Terry. Have a good night.
Yeah, mate. KP.
Terry, how are we, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Lots of emotions we're coming across, aren't we?
You're very echoey. It's like I can barely hear you.
Hang on, maybe I'll grab some headphones. Hang on, give me a second.
All right. Ed.
Hey Terry, how you doing?
My patience has been tested, if I'm being honest.
Sorry, mate.
Tested, mate. Fuck.
Yeah, I'm there with you, mate. Look, actually, I've got a tiny bit of a different take. Obviously, the first quarter, it was a disgrace, and you can't accept that on any level. But we were working our way back into it at times, and in fact, from the last 5 minutes of the first to probably the last 5 minutes of the second, I really thought we're gonna really give this a solid nudge, and then we just switch off for little patches, and it costs us 2 cheap ones, and then it's back to 6 goals at halftime. When we switch off, we pay for it dearly.
Yeah.
When the opposition switches off, we don't seem to make them pay dearly. And the inside 50s in the second and the third, we actually should have been closer than 4 goals in the second and the third. Both times we gave a run at it. Who knows what could have happened? So I think that's the positive. I think I've been a Carlton supporter. I think I'm roughly the same age as you, Terry. Like, I saw a few golden years when Kuda was at his prime, but I don't remember 95 and things like that. But from the best Carlton teams I've seen, I can distinctly remember who I would want to kick the ball inside the 50. In the 2000 team, it'd be Scott Camporelli or Brett Ratton, maybe Craig Bradley. In the Juddy era, it'd be Murph or Juddy or Gibbs. I don't know who I want to kick the ball to Charlie or Harry in this team. Maybe if he's got space, Chera, but he handballed it to Durden tonight when he clearly had space. It doesn't seem like we get that short 30-metre hit up. It feels like every one of Charlie's goals requires the most athletic mark you've ever seen in your life, or he just snaps it from anywhere. I just wouldn't mind us getting, and I know it's an elite sport, so it sounds weird, but I wouldn't mind seeing an easy goal. One where we take the ball through the middle, chain of handballs, and someone kicks it to somebody who's got a metre on their opponent. I feel like I haven't seen that all season. And that's, I don't know if I understand this word, but that's method, as Voss calls it. Like, isn't that meant to be our brand? That's sort of like, let's create a free player so that they've got time to make a good decision to a forward that's got space. I just don't feel like I've seen that. But I will stick fat because I still feel like we're playing at about 60% of what we could play. And I still thought we could pinch it halfway through the second. I was thinking, yeah, this is on. It obviously, didn't go our way after that. But that's my take, mate. So thanks for hearing me out.
No, thanks for coming on. It was probably the best one of the night. Just really well articulated. You know what I found interesting? 3/4 time, I'm obviously watching from the screen. I thought our body language looked good, positive, focused, locked on Vossi's eyes, all of that good stuff. Really locked in. Started the quarter relatively well. Kicked a couple in a row. I still saw belief in the group at 3/4 time. Now, whatever that's worth, I don't know. Probably nothing.
No, I'm there with you. And when we kicked the first of the last, I can't remember who it was. Honey handballed it, I think, to Akers, and Akers might have snapped it. And they showed a replay, and it was Sauce. He was really up and about that it had gone through. And I think they get the sense that if they kick 2 quick ones and then Durden kick the next one, and I thought they believe, but I don't personally buy into this. We're not interested. I think we're just we're just clumsy. And there's been a few good comments around adjusting in game, and I feel like the loss of Doherty for that first quarter was pretty profound. He's the one I'd turn to when things are going tits up like they were in the first quarter and say, hey, let's get into his hands and just slow things down. But yeah, I agree. I think the body language was solid, mate, all night.
Yeah. Well, mate, thanks for joining. I think this is your first fan cams.
It is, yeah. I became a member early in the week, mate. So you'll probably see me a bit more often, that's for sure.
Please feel free to come down for any time.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. Have a good night.
You too.
KP.
Back, Tez. Better audio this time, I think.
Mate, you're killing me, man. Come on.
Is
Relying on you, mate.
Is it better, mate? Is it better?
It's better.
That's it. But yeah, mate, lots of emotions on the post and everything we're coming across. But take a breath, have a breather, and just that's what I did. But I'm taking more of a surprisingly positive take on the night. Surprising for me, being a hot-headed Italian with full of Carlton supporters in our house. In a nutshell, for me, we lost that game in the first quarter because conceded 8 goals. We conceded. I think it got to 7 goals down at one point in the second quarter. And then we kicked those 3 in a row. We pegged it back. It was 3 or 4 goals or something like that. And then, we switch off again. And then at halftime, we're back to square one. But through the middle of the night, through the middle of the game, we were with them. We had a repeat inside 50. The third quarter, we didn't get much reward. Second quarter, we kicked those first 3, switched off again. So for me, we lost in that the first quarter. And then again in red time, which is what we love doing. I think that's where the frustration comes from with a lot of us Carlton supporters. It's just the same things that we're seeing, just broken tackles, a lot of passengers. And one comment I really liked, if you put Charlie and Harry in a team like how Adelaide played tonight, or in a Collingwood, or they got slick, skillful ball movement, mate, they'll kick 100 each. Seriously, I feel sorry for them. And I've seen heads being pointed at, like your typical poor boy Plowman or Zach Fisher, or this player soft, that player soft. Mate, whole side needs to take accountability. We're on the opposite side of the fence of last year. We put on a centre clearance masterclass when we're 8-2, electric out of the middle, 12-goal halves. That Sydney game, that was our brand. Now we're on the flip side of that, where North's midfield smacked us in clearances and Adelaide did us tonight. So with how we're playing, personally, very happy that we're 3 wins and a draw, personally, from what I've seen. But they want to turn it around quick. Yeah, I don't know, mate. But what were your thoughts, really?
Wasteful, lazy, lackadaisical.
Yeah.
Not hard enough, weak.
Yeah.
Weak performance. If
Yeah.
our brand is strong and powerful, then that was weak.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
And we were bullied. We were bullied tonight.
It was just a repeat of last year. You could just see it happening. A repeat of last year. They just walked through us, mate. It was, But anyway, on to next week. Surprisingly staying positive, mate. But otherwise, I'm sure we'll talk soon again, Tess.
Absolutely. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Joseph.
Kalimera.
Kalispera.
Kalimera because they were sleeping.
They were asleep, mate. They did not even show up. Well, they kind of did, but no, they didn't.
No, they were asleep in the first quarter.
They got so far behind in that first quarter, man. I think I read it out earlier. Minus 20 contested possessions, minus 51 uncontested possessions. Yeah. It's a demolition job, mate.
There you go. Well, honestly, it's a bit of it follows on from the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks have been bad, pretty poor. We've against some what were considered to be not the best teams. You know what I mean? So, but you know what? I'm glad. I'm glad we got pumped, mate. I really am, and I'm glad we all played like shit because I would rather that over an honourable loss. You know, the honourable loss, where it's we should have won, but with this, but with that, nah. I'd rather we get absolutely slaughtered because at least it makes them look into a few more avenues of where we can improve. Whereas the honourable loss is, that's right, let's just look to next week.
Yeah. The thing is, though, there's a narrative, like underlying narrative around percentage, and a loss like that really hits the percentage.
That's where you're right there.
You know,
I agree, 100%. But that's just it was bad to watch, man. It was really bad. It was really bad. Next week's in Kilda.
See what happens.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's I just no. Bring back Brent Thornton. Don't care. I'd rather him over Plowman. I don't care.
It's tough on Plowman.
What did you make of Kennedy in the back line?
Pardon?
What did you make of Kennedy in the back line? Because I saw him there. Hold on a minute.
What did I make of it? I didn't make anything of it. Yeah, I thought it was just something that happened for a moment. I don't know how long he was down there for. Or maybe it was the entire quarter. I don't know. I was probably still more in shock that the big five, our great midfield that we all rave about, didn't fire a collective shot.
No.
So, and look, maybe them being back, they've got to get some reps up, get some more minutes together, game time, all of that. So, granted, there is that as well. And I think that has to improve, right? If you've got such quality midfielders together, like, it's going to get better as the weeks go on, considering if they're going to be playing together. So there's that. But also, I think tonight was a reminder, you can never just be confident in anything.
No, you said it. It's a humbling loss, mate. You said it. You can't. Don't. These expectations are better. I'm over there to watch the game. He had amazing seats. And I'm texting him after the first quarter. I said, just call Virgin, call Qantas, get the next flight out. It's over. But, we reflect this weekend. You enjoy your Easter, Christos Donesti.
Thank you, mate.
Forget about it, and let's go to next week. And I'm going to go to the game, and I don't know what I'm going to expect, but we'll see what happens there.
Good night, mate.
Good night.
See ya. James from England.
Hey, mate. Yeah, I was on the live with Pom for the game. That was an experience, I have to say. But yeah, it was not a fun game whatsoever to watch.
Welcome to Carlton, mate.
God, I think I'm experienced it the most, in early years, but it hurts more now. Because we know we should be doing better. Our standards should be higher. We should be performing to a higher level, but we're just not. And we don't look like a 4-1-1 team at all. We look like even, breaking even, just maybe even worse. Like, our team just didn't have the fire, the passion, what they wanted. I saw occasionally after the goals that we looked fired up, but around the grounds we just got walked through by the midfield, and them coming off half back. There was just nothing, just lifeless.
Lifeless. It's a good way to put it. There are a few things that, when I reflect now on the game, we're a couple of hours removed from the game now, or an hour and a half. There are certain things that happen in losses that are always the same. And I would say one of the few items at the top of that list is when we have consistently broken tackles. And that was a highlight of the majority of the game.
All throughout they burst out them packs, which we shouldn't expect them to do. Yeah, they've got a talented midfield, but they haven't been playing that well this season. Whereas in the first half, Rory Laird racked up more disposals than the majority of our players. Well, in the first quarter, even by the majority of our players for the whole game. The players I thought that fought and did all right were maybe just Motlop, Walsh, and occasionally Chera. But yeah, I feel it's a bit harsh on Plowman, all the hate he's getting. I mean, let's be honest, he didn't play that well, but I don't think anyone really did. And we look at him as a scapegoat because, yeah, he's not one of our best players at all. But yeah, it comes back to that same saying. We probably have one of the best top 15 players in the comp. Like, our best 15 when they're firing are the best. But then that bottom 10-5 players, how good are you? Like, we don't have our worst 5 players are one of the worst 5 in the comp, but our best 5 are some of the best 5 in the comp. And that is where premierships are won. Look at that Richmond team that got the 3-peat. They had you couldn't really spot many weak links in them. Like they had the first gamer in the grand final, he played well. It's just you need everyone on the same page. The selflessness, you need everyone together working and not just it was lifeless, like I said. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, hopefully we can get you back for a watch along sometime.
Yeah, maybe we'll leave it a small amount of time to wait. Let's see if our games are. We'll see if our games are going well. But I think I kept Pommy on a leash today from going berserk. He knew I was in there too, and didn't want to get overly. But yeah, thanks for that.
They wouldn't want to. They wouldn't want to dish up many more 56-point losses this season because this has been pretty well held, well kept. I would have thought this fan camp.
I didn't think we'd win actually today. I wasn't that confident. I said we would because I don't like being negative, but I wasn't too confident with the way we played. But for some reason, next week I feel like we will get a reaction and we will play well against the Saints. But like we've all been saying, they're really well drilled team with a good core and a very nice mindset as a football club. And they don't have you go onto it, they don't have the top 5 players. They're nowhere near the top 5 players in the comp, but their bottom 5 players are about as good as their best ones too. They're all solid footballers who know how to play and got well drilled by Lion. And we're going to need to make sure that our kicking efficiency and our just ball movement so slow again. Like we didn't turn it on in the third quarter like against North last week, and you just saw patches of that first half all throughout. And North Melbourne on Adelaide, you're going to get punished by this explosive team, and that's just what happened.
Yeah, mate. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, all good. I'll see you next week.
See you next week. All right, there's 5 more of you. It's midnight. Let's power through these. Taj.
G'day, Terry. How are you going? Can you hear me?
Good, mate. Can you turn your volume up?
Am I quiet?
Oh, yeah, you're a bit. I can hear you.
Sorry, I'll get to that now. Can I turn it up? I don't think I can. Sorry, I'll keep it quick. I'll keep it loud. Is that all right?
Yep.
So I just have to say, opening game, gather round, we get it, and we just pull out that performance. It's really draining to see that. You feel bad for those who have travelled, and then just to watch that, it's really, really bad to see, I reckon.
Yeah. Where did it go wrong for you?
I think it was just the midfield. I looked at that midfield before the game, and I think it's the best midfield I've ever seen in my life for Carlton. I'm 17, and I was just looking at it that's a good midfield. And then I watched that first quarter, and I'm like, what's gone wrong here? It's really hard. After this game, it's just really hard to comprehend what we did in that first quarter, especially. I know we had injuries to Kennedy, and he wasn't at his best, but it's just you got to be better than that, I reckon.
Yeah, yeah. It's a shame that has to come at such a heavy cost with that loss.
Yeah, it would have been great to get this win, sit on top of the ladder. It would have been so good. But
yeah.
The rest I've got to say is just easy kicks through the corridor. Once we had an attacker now, inside 50, you just watch our players walking back, but they're just sprinting through the corridor. And they had so many open people in the corridor, and they could just kick through there and easy inside 50s for them. It was so frustrating. Not even manning up, not outnumbered at the contest, just simple stuff like that.
Yeah. Confident about next week? Confident that we can respond?
Yeah, well, I don't really rate the Saints too much. What I've seen is just they're not really good enough. Their list is not good, their injuries, but if we do lose to them, it will get really ugly, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed that it doesn't get ugly.
Yeah. I don't
appreciate the dono tonight as well, man. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. Yes. Thanks for all the hard work, guys. Good content.
Appreciate it, man. You have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
All right, bye. Webb.
Not good, mate. Not good.
Terrible.
I mean, the problem is you look at the game last week against North, and I feel like no one really criticised us because we ended up getting the win and because it was, it wasn't a dominant win, but that third quarter we just played well. or we didn't even play well. It just sort of all went right for us. But the problem that I've had is just, why is the only way that we're getting the ball up the ground just kicking down the line? Like, why is that the case? Are we allergic to an inbound handball or kick? Like, it's just what we're doing. And it's just, the problem is, it's either going to be Harry or Charlie taking a big mark. Then it's slow. Their defenders are getting back. And then there's no one there. I feel like the whole offseason, all they've done is they've practiced on just kicking it to Harry and Charlie. And then you see tonight, there was a couple of kicks there where there was 4 people on Harry. Like, what's he going to do there? And it went well for us last week because, we were getting a couple cheap free kicks and that. But then this week we're not. What do you do?
Yeah. There's a heavy reliance on getting it to Harry and Charlie and then working off them and trusting that they'll either mark it or bring it to ground at the bare minimum.
Exactly.
It seems that way. Not a lot of run and carry tonight from halfback. I know Doc was out and Gov was out, and maybe that impacted Sard and Newman's ability to do that potentially. But at the same time, like, there's, when the Crows,
and even like last week, and you can see even GWS against GWS as well, pretty much this whole season, Harry and Charlie aren't spacing themselves either. Like, they're sort of around each other a bit too much. And it's like, you got to space each other out. And then you got to have smalls around them as well. Our smalls, like, don't get me wrong, I reckon Jesse's been playing unbelievable. Durden's been pretty good. Owi's, like, when he's been there, has been good. But they're not around the contest, sort of what they were doing last year. Definitely the first half of last season, what they were doing when they were bringing the ball to ground and then they were sort of hunting there. They're not really doing that as much. And I think that's really taking its toll on us. And just our forward pressure as well is just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What does this do for your confidence for the season?
I don't know, to be honest. It feels like we've regressed from last year a bit.
Okay.
Just like you look at last year and we were getting in the middle and we were getting that quick ball, and it's so much slower now. And I know it's still early in the season, but it's like, I don't know, it's not doing too much for my confidence. I don't know. It's so early. Like, it's so early, but that's not a good, like, losing by 56 points isn't, you're not premiership contenders when you're losing by 56 points. And don't get me wrong, I think Adelaide are good, but yeah, I don't know.
Fair. Well, thanks for joining, man.
Thanks for having me.
See ya. Daniel.
Hey, Terry. How are you, mate? Thanks for having me on.
No worries, man. What's happening? What do you think?
Tough one, eh? I think I remember last year against Adelaide and watching the fan cams, and that was a tough one, eh? I guess everyone was super angry. Probably the nicest way to describe it. Angry and frustrated. And damn, like, they got us again, and it happened again. But this one, it doesn't feel angry or frustrating. It just feels bewildering and deflating that as I said, it happened again. I remember just sitting next to my dad after Rankin kicked that first clutch goal in like the first minute. And we just knew, it's like, if they're kicking one like that to open the game, you just know it's one of those nights. And the rest was history, really. And I guess the highlight for me was the takeaway Singapore noodles I had before the opening bounce, But, man, it's always hard when you concede 8 goals in the first quarter, especially playing away. It's always difficult to play catch-up. But, I mean, I guess it's not fair just to say Carlton were terrible tonight. I think the other side of the coin is noteworthy to say that Adelaide just way too good. But I guess from our perspective, it is totally frustrating that we were really just beaten by what we knew. We knew we had to shut down the influence of Laird and Dawson and Fogarty and Tex, and you get Fogarty kicking 5, Tex kicking 3, taking strong marks, and Dawson and Laird just going nuts with their contested ball and just their run. It's obvious to say that Doherty and McGovern were notable outs, but damn, I'm not a fan of like calling players out, so I won't do that. But just some minor brain fades at moments, just knocking the ball back into play when we could have just knocked it through the goals for a point, or kicking on the full when we didn't really need to. Some players playing FIFA 23, trying to slide tackle other players. Just got a little bit funny there. But look, I really do think they tried. I just think we lacked a bit of dare, and our ball movement was lackluster and ultimately just unmotivating for me. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom, though. Don't think it means season end. Definitely some red flags that we need to work on. Thank God that it's not round 20 like last year and that it is round 5. But for me, it's been a funny start to the season with 3-1-1. And I guess it leaves me feeling at least how I felt actually after the Sydney pre-season game, where we were like, oh, we had some more questions than we really thought we did. And I still feel like that, where it's like, oh gosh, do we have a midfield problem now? Do we have a forward transition problem? Do we have a defensive transition problem? So I'm still feeling a bit like, gosh, what's kind of going on? But 1 loss, 5 games in, as someone has greatly said, we move, and we face the Saints next Sunday. So, yeah, that's my summation of the game.
No, thank you, man. That's pretty spot on. I don't really disagree with much. Yeah,
no, that's good, man. You feeling all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. We'll have a sleep on it. I think sleep and time is needed.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And it is pretty.
We'll
low,
get back
so
to
I'll
it
hop
next
off, mate.
week and go from there.
No, that's it. Well, I'll hop off, bro. Make sure you get a good rest. Enjoy. Thanks for the night.
Thanks, bro. See ya.
Take-
Yanni.
Hey mate, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. The pain's gone away now. I'll try and be real quick. This is the first time I've been on, so I'll just try and be real quick so you can end the stream. But yeah, disappointing loss. Standouts were Walsh being back on the field, which was really good. Like, he said before that he was upset that he wasn't able to play. So him being back is a good for us. A little bit of gripes for me would be Plowman in defense. He was really showing up I expected him to do. What else? Our midfield with Walsh, I think we did our best what we can do. But I feel like we could have done a little bit better. But under the circumstances that we were in against Adelaide, who are a really good team, I feel like we did decent, but we could have done better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, mate, I think we could have done a lot better. Yeah. It's a really disappointing effort across the 4 quarters, eh?
Yeah. Other standouts would be, just our forward play sometimes. Like Durden was pretty good, getting in the contest a lot. I'm just trying to think on the top of my head. Sorry.
What about next week? What do you do next week with the team?
Yeah. Sorry. First time, so a little bit nervous, but
Good, mate.
it's just 1 loss. Like, what can you do?
Wait.
It happened.
Wait. Can you hear me?
About next week. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about next week. What do we do next week?
We just try and do better. Like, try and do that same attacking stuff that we did in North game. And just try and keep moving forward to do the best that we can with what we got. Like, I know some injuries may counteract with that, but we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah.
I think we'll do all right, but hopefully we'll do better than what we did today. But yeah.
Yeah.
What did you get?
Well, mate,
who was your standout from the game?
Nobody. Nobody gets a standout for me. Maybe Walsh because he came back from injury, but I thought as a unit, I actually think it's quite interesting. A lot of people are talking about Plowman and they're not talking about Jacob Wiedering or Lewis Young tonight. I find that really interesting. While we're looking at Plowman, I don't really expect much more from Plowman, but I expect a lot better from Wiedering and Young. And I think they let us down more than what Plowman did, personally.
Yeah, I get you there.
Yeah. But anyway, all good, mate. Thank you for making your debut. Sorry we had to get you on so late, but we'll speak to you again soon.
All good, mate. Yeah. Sorry, I got a little bit nervous for a little bit, so that's why I kept
you're
on
right,
my
man.
stuff
It's so fine.
up.
It's so fine. You have a good night.
You too. Have a good one.
See ya. Toby.
Hey, Chaz. How are you, Matt?
Lucky last, mate.
Terry, I can't tell you, man. I'm so upset. I know that I love coming on to this channel, Matt, but I'm mentally, physically so upset tonight. That performance, what more can you say? I can't say much.
Yeah, it's a real.
I literally talked to my girlfriend after the game, and she's an Adelaide supporter, and her cousin's Brody Smith. And I was like, I don't really want to talk, but I will, because you played better than us tonight. And I had to tell her, and she said, no, I thought you guys played well. And I went, no, we didn't. A 56-point loss? You say that's a good game from Carlton? No, it's not. No, it's not. This is going to hurt. And it should hurt. Because, Terry, I mean, you're right. Our leaders didn't step up tonight. If they're not stepping up, if your leadership doesn't step up, then you look at yourself and go, okay, maybe I need to look at myself in the mirror and go, okay, do I want to play a part in this team? Do I want to play a part? Do I want to pull on a Carlton jumper and go out there and do the best that I can for the Carlton Football Club? If that's our best, we've got a long way to go. A long way to go.
It'll be a long season if that's our best, Toby.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, sorry, I wanted to come on and just have a chat with you, Matt, because you cheer me up. You cheer me up. And a lot of you in this channel cheer me up when we lose. But tonight, I felt like crying and just sitting there. And this, as Carlton supporters, this hurts. This really hurts.
Well, what we have to remember, let's be honest, nothing ever moves in a straight line. It's going to be ups and downs. We're going to get kicked to the curb again. It's going to happen. Can't get too low from the loss, and we can't get too high from any of the wins. I don't think we got too high from any of the wins, maybe the Geelong one. But by the same token, I don't think right now is the time to panic. The last thing we should do right now is panic. So it's literally round 5 of 23. So back to the drawing board. Back to the drawing board with 3.5 wins, and we go again. That's kind of the recipe.
We do. And we're always here every week. And this is great therapy for us all, because if we don't do this, then we sit around for the rest of the week and you let it affect other things in your life. And I don't need that this weekend. I've got to play footy myself. And I cannot let a Carlton loss affect me. Because if I go into my footy as a leader this year, because, Terry, I've got some good news for you. And I want to say this to a lot of you, because a lot of you support me as well. And thank you for showing the support, the Jumper Punch boys. I really appreciate it. And I loved how they put up a comment of mine that I did last week, and it was short and sweet, because I know sometimes I can go on for a bit too long. But I love this channel. I love everything that we do. And for me, as a person with a disability, that really, for me, I like to think about things and go away. And as I'm about to say, I'm a leader at my club this year, but I've got a new role. It's game day leader, but it's also vice captain.
Wow. So you got to lead by example now, on the field and off the field.
Exactly. And I mean, that's why coming in here has inspired me to be a better human being. And I think I'm getting better at that. I think every time I come on and I have a chat with you, Terry, I feel like I'm thinking about what I want to say before I come on. So thank you, Matt.
No, you're welcome. Let that be the win of the night.
All right, Matt. I'll let you go.
Toby. All right, mate.
And go the Blues. We'll be right.
Blues. Thank you for your kind words, mate. See ya.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a great way to end. Thank you, Toby. Don't know if my patience has been tested on a session like that. And we've had round 23 last year. Sorry for the technical issues, guys. But more importantly, not a good performance. Thanks for tuning in. The review will be out tomorrow. We'll do the player ratings potentially tomorrow night. And then we'll wrap this one up pretty quickly and move on. I mean, look, we're going to sit with it for 10 days before the next game. But there's something about that loss. I don't know. I'm scared to watch it again. There's something weird about that loss. That was unlike us. We've been in situations where teams have put us to the sword and we've clawed our way back. That was just not the case today. So anyway, thanks for being here. Stay tuned for more. Go Blues.